All right, guys. So in this video, I'm gonna try to explain to you how you can make an cost effectiveness calculator on Outgrow. And before we go ahead and make the calculator itself, first I'm going to explain to you why you need a cost effectiveness calculator. And now I'm going to go about explaining this to you in a little bit of a roundabout way. First, I'm going to explain to you what the information age in which in which we are living right now is about. So the information age is the term given to the contemporary period of the 21st century that is characterized by the rapid shift from traditional industry to an economy based on information and technology. So, in a commercialized society, the information industry can allow individuals to explore their personalized needs, thereby simplifying the procedure of making decisions for transactions and significantly lowering costs both for producers and for buyers. So, how can your company do this? It's simple by showing customers how cost effective your products and services are and to what extent they can meet the customer's personal needs. And nothing does this better than a cost effectiveness calculator that I'm going to show you right now how you can build one of those. So, to do it, first, let me just show you an example of one of these calculators. So, this is the one that we've built. And it's built for the vaping industry, and it shows how much a person can save by buying a vape. Now, we put some information here from a recent report that was conducted by the UK's Royal College of Physicians that actually concludes that e-cigarettes are likely to be beneficial to the UK public health. Smokers can therefore be encouraged to use them, and the public can be reassured that e-cigarettes can prevent almost all the harm from smoking. So what we've done is this is the first page of the calculator, and what it already goes ahead and caches on is information that is already out on the internet, and that is going to likely convince people to buy a vaporizer, which is the purpose of this calculator. And it also shows the benefits of the vaporizer, and it kind of collects all this information and presents it to the user so that he can make a decision of his own. So once you've set up a similar page for your own kind of industry and calculator, then you just click on calculate, and then you can see the entire calculator. It's asked you how much do you pay for a pack of cigarettes, and you can move this around. And then you say how many cigarettes do you smoke in a day, and you can move that around. As you can see, as you move this around, the figures here change, and it shows you the annual cost of smoking, the annual cost of vaping, and the net yearly savings. And then this is related to the kind of vape you choose, and it again affects the result. And finally, you can have within the calculator itself, you can have a question like, would you like to book an appointment for a free consultation at a store? Or if you'd like to receive updates about the seasonal discounts on our vapes, please enter your email here. So as you can see, there's a lot of options that you can put in this calculator. And finally, you can also click on view charts here. And what this does is that it shows all the data to the user in a very systemized way. So that this obviously has a greater effect on the end user, because you can actually see pictorially, if that's a word, how much he's saving as compared to just seeing it in numbers. So that's the basic layout of the calculator, and you can have a call to action link here. I've put build a similar calculator because our company allows you to build calculators, but what you could put here is something like shop now, and then it directly redirects the user from here to your eShop. And so that's how they can end up buying it directly after they've used your calculator that's on your website. So if you want to make this calculator, so you basically head to your Outgrow dashboard, and then you click on numerical calculators, and then you can either start from scratch on all of these calculator templates available, uh, but obviously you would be like starting from the very beginning. So it's easy to just like select a template. Depends on how much customizations you want to do. And within the trending section, we haven't added the new calculator here yet, but you would find it added just here. So for instance, you can see how much does it cost to hire a ghostwriter, and we made a calculator for that. Similarly, you'd have one for the vaporizer one, and you can just customize it for your industry. But for instance, if you wanted to use this one, then you just click on use template here. Or if you want to check it out before you want to use it, you can click on preview. So it's up to you. So once you do click on use template, it will open it up in your builder, but I'm just going to go to my own builder because it's already there. So I'm going to just open it up from there. Okay, so once you're in the builder, there are just a few basic things to keep in mind. You don't need to be overwhelmed. Uh, the first thing is that if you want to edit anything on the calculator, all you need to pay attention to is just this section in the center. So if you want to, for instance, change this text here, you just click on it, and it will open it up on the right hand side here. This was already open, so you didn't see the click animation. So for instance, you wanted to change this question, so you just click on it, And what this will do is on the right hand side, it will open up this particular question. And if you wanted to change the text, you just click here and you add some text or subtract some words. It's really up to you. Uh, so let me just go about this in a systematic way from the cover page. So this is the cover page of the calculator. If you don't want the cover page, if you think this is a bit of a distraction, which it shouldn't be, but if for some reason on your website you want to directly just embed this part, the core part of the calculator, then you can also hide the welcome screen. So if you click on this, the welcome screen would disappear, and all you're left with is this calculator that can just be used as a widget on your website directly on your front page. So there's that, but it's nice to have the welcome screen because here you can put a lot of information like this report from the UK's Royal College of Physicians that we put here. People like to have some information on their hands before they, engage with the product. If they feel that, because this report is kind of educational, if they feel that there's an educational value and you're not just trying to like sell them something and you're taking them at an equal level and you think they can, choose for themselves based on this report, then it's going to likely encourage them more to buy the product than if you just like try to blatantly sell them something. Uh, so once you're in the welcome screen, right from this pencil setting here, you can change the display settings. Within this, as you can see, there's some predefined palettes because these colors kind of like work pretty well with themselves with each other. So if you click on any one of these, your calculator colors would change to that. So currently I've picked a custom palette. I've used this dark blue setting. So all of these sliders and these months and dates pickers, they're all blue. And I've chosen black for the font text, but you can change that as well as to what fits you. And I've chosen white as the background, as you can see, so everything is white in the background. But you can change it especially to have it display your company's colors, whatever they are. So you can do that here. And finally, the background image, I've used a GIF of this person blowing smoke rings, and you can actually replace it with a static image, which you can just upload from your desktop, or you can upload a GIF. It's really up to you how much you want to customize. So that's that. So you just need to click on upload new, and it just guide you through the directions for uploading a new picture. So you can just upload it directly from your desktop here. And the tint option that you can see here, it just allows you to, if you think the image is too heavy, you can just click on tint and it just like kind of fade it out in the background. It's really up to you if you need this function. I just don't think I need it right now because this text displays quite well. Here you can change the entire font of the entire calculator. So as you can see, just clicking on any of these will change the font. And if you wanted to add your company's logo, you can just click here. And here a little logo will pop up here, and you can change the logo by uploading your own company's logo here. So this logo will show up not just on the welcome screen, but also on the calculator screen as well. So I do not intend to use a logo, so I've just hidden that. And again, you can hide or show the Outgrow branding here. Depends on what kind of Outgrow package you have. If you have a basic plan, I don't think you can remove this, but if you have a more advanced plan, you can. So it's really up to you. And this function allows you to show the number of visitors, and you can have that depending on if you want it on your website or not. So that's that for the display settings of the background image, etc. Now, if you wanted to change the text of the heading here, then you can just do it from here. As you can see, you can just add more text here or subtract some here, and you can change the calculator heading from here as well. And once you've done that, you can also change what the button says here. It currently says calculate. That's, I think, that for the welcome screen. You can't do much more than this. You can also change the color of the text from here as well. So this allows you to change the color to, say, if you want it to be blue, or if you want like to highlight particular parts, or you want to make them bold or italicized, you can do that as well. Or if you wanted to underline them. So it's really up to you how you want to change these. And you can also hyperlink. So what I've done is I've put a study from the Royal College of Physicians, and if I wanted to direct the users to that study or to give some proof of that study, I can just insert a URL and just click open a new tab, so people can actually check it out in a new tab without having to exit your calculator. So that's all you can do on the welcome screen. And once you've kind of done that, you can then go ahead to the core of the calculator. So here you can have, as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions. And I think out of these, only the first 3 questions are calculating the result. The question number 4 and 5. Number 4 is for booking a consultation, and number 5 is for following up on email or giving them seasonal discounts. And so question 1 and 2, so let's just say the way I've calculated this is it really depends. So how much a person would save by buying a vaporizer really depends on how much they smoke every day. So the first question is, how much do you pay for a pack of cigarettes? And I've put a numerical slider here, as you can see. It's easy for people to kind of like, decide that one. So it's on a scale like this, because then they can move it around. It's more fun than just having like, text input or like a single select question where you have a bunch of values put there. So try to use numerical sliders, but there are other options if you wanted to use them, which you can check out by yourselves. So the unit of the variable I've put dollars because we are trying to calculate the price in dollars, but you can change it to your own specific currency and you can just put it here. And I put the minimum value as 0 and the maximum value as 200. I suppose the packs of cigarettes, I don't know whether they're more costly packs of cigarettes, but I've just put 200 as an illustrative value. But you can put any value here depending on what your product is. It really depends. A step length calculates every time someone tries to move this, it'll move by $1 because that's the basic value we put here. But you can also have it move by $5 so that every time someone tries to move this, it goes from 90 to 95, 95 to 100, and so on and so forth. It really depends on what your product is and what you think is the best way a numerical slider would work for your product. And this option for show scale allows you, as you can see, if I click it on, you can see these little values, $0, $50, $100. These disappear if you do not show the scale, but it'll still show the number chosen as someone moves the slider around. So that's that for a normal numerical slider question. So this is the first thing I'm trying to figure out, how much they pay for a pack of cigarettes. The second thing I want to know is how many cigarettes they smoke in a day. And because these two values by themselves would allow me to calculate how much they can save by buying a vape. So how many cigarettes do you smoke a day? I've used the numerical slider again, but as I said, you can also use any of these other options to get this value. Like, for instance, in single select, you can have, one cigarette, two cigarettes, three cigarettes. So I'll just show you how it would show. So it will show like option, and you can say, you can just click here, one cigarette, and the person can choose one, and then you add an option and you add two cigarettes. But this obviously is going to be a little annoying because you'd have to just go on the way to like 20. So it's kind of easy to just choose a numerical slider. And once you've done that, again, the same thing, I've chosen a minimum value of 1 and a max value of 50, and step length of 1, and default value. The default value, which I actually didn't explain for this question as well. Default value is the value at which, when someone opens a calculator, the calculator is going to show this slider is going to be on $90. Because having it on 0 sometimes looks a bit odd, so it's more friendly to have it like display somewhere in the middle of the scale so that people are more inclined to move it around. So if both of these were at 0, then you wouldn't, like, some people wouldn't even know that they can move it around. So it's just better to display it, like just put it out at some random default value, because then it'll also show some random default results so that people can actually see how much they're saving based on that value. So once you've done that, I need to subtract the cost of the vape from the net yearly savings as well. It's just a one-time cost that they would be paying, but it needs to be subtracted as well to reflect the true value of the savings at the end of the year. Okay, so for question three, it's I've assigned values to each of these products so that later on I can, in the formula of this calculator, I can go ahead and say if the answer to question 3 is 1, that is a box mod vape, then subtract such and such money from the net yearly savings. So if the answer to question number 3 is 2, because I've assigned the value 2 here, then subtract such and such money, such and such amount of money from the annual yearly savings. So you can, so this is the way in which I intend to use the formula. You can assign these values and then later use these values in your product. Question number 4, as you can see, is just about free consultation. So this is a date time picker. So this will allow people to pick a particular date and time on which they can have a consultation at your store. This is pretty simple. And question 5 is if they want to receive updates about seasonal discounts on your products, they can enter their email here. So a lot of times if people see that they can still not afford your product, they would just, be still tempted to enter their email here for any seasonal Christmas discounts that you have, which they might be interested in. So it's always nice to have an option like this here. So now I'm going to jump to the formula itself and the results. So as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 results, but I've only used 3 results here. The rest of them are for my own use, just for determining the formula. And if you wanted to add more results, you just click on plus here and you can add a new one. It becomes result 7. But I don't need it. And you can also delete them from here. If you want to delete a result, just click on this little X button here, and that would delete the result. Okay, So the result one, which I haven't used, is basically the daily smoking cost. And how did I determine this? All I needed to know for the daily smoking cost was Q1 upon 20 into Q2. So Q1 is how much the user pays for a pack of cigarettes. So that's $90 upon 20 divided by 20, because I want to know how much each cigarette costs. So a packet of cigarette has 20 cigarettes in it. So if someone's paying $90 for a packet of cigarettes, then 90 divided by 20 uh, would give me the cost of one cigarette. And when I multiply it by Q2, that is the number of cigarettes the user smokes in one day, I will basically get the daily smoking cost of that user. So just to repeat that once again, Q1 was the cost of a pack of cigarettes. 20 is the number of cigarettes in a pack of cigarettes. So once you divide that, you basically get the cost of each cigarette. And then if you multiply it by Q2, which is the number of cigarettes the user smokes in a day, you can basically get the daily smoking cost. And I've added this myself, so I can actually edit this and put anything here. So if you want to have, like, if you're selling something else, you can just replace that by the product. So you can have the daily cooking cost if that's what you're calculating. It's really up to you. So that's that. To write a formula, you need to click on this. I've already written this formula here, but you need to click on this, and then it'll take you to the formula builder. And this looks pretty complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. All you need to do is to put a simple mathematical equation like this within parentheses, and multiply is used by this sign here. The slash is for division, and the variables you get from your question. So question 1 divided by 20 into question 2 is going to give me the daily smoking cost. You can make it like, double digit decimal or triple digit decimal, depends on what you're calculating or how complex your product is. You can use that. If you're anytime confused about these formulas, it really just says here plus for addition, minus for subtraction, dot for multiplication, and slash for division. You can just you can also use like 100 other mathematical functions, but for that you just need to click here, and it'll open a support doc for you in another page, and you can see it explained in a very simple way here. But for this calculator, we just need the simple function, so I've used it here. So that's the daily cost of smoking, and that's my first result. Now, result 2 is the daily cost of vaping. Now, this would really depend on your industry. And for me, the way I've calculated the daily cost of vaping is Q2 is basically the number of cigarettes the person smokes in a day, multiplied by this constant, which is 0.088, which is so yeah, so the result is basically the daily vaping cost, which is basically easy to calculate by just multiplying the number of cigarettes one smokes in a day, that's Q2, into this constant number, which is the vaping cost of a cigarette. So if you were to replace a cigarette by a vape, this is how much each cigarette would cost. So this would give me the daily vaping cost for the individual. And then, okay, so R3 is basically the cost of a vape, and this has been calculated based on question 3, where we were asking them what kind of a vaporizer they were interested in. And as you can remember, we had assigned a specific value to each option. So if someone picked Box Mod Vape, a value of 1 was sent to the formula. If someone picked Pen Vape, a value of 2 was sent to the formula. As you can see, we have assigned these values: Box Mod Vape, value of 1, value of 2 for Pen Vape, and 3 for the e-cigarette, and so on. So as you can see, so here I've used these values in the formula, and if you click on the formula, you can see if Q3 is equal to 1, that's the notation for is equal to, and you can find all those notations here in this click here section. So if Q3 is equal to 1, then $45. So if someone picks, as you can see, a box mod vape, then we are going to assign the value of that vaporizer as $45. So that's what I've done here. If Q3 equals to 1, then $45. Else if, so this hyphen here basically means else if Q3 equals to 2, then $43. Else if, and 2 stands for e-cigarettes in that equation. I think, sorry, 2 stands for pen vape. So as you can see, so if Q3 equals to box mod vape, then $45. Else if Q3 equals to pen vape, then $43. Else if Q3 equals to e-cigarette, then $42. Else $40. So this last else is basically if none of these conditions are true, then just assign $40, which is for the fourth option, the pocket vape. And once you've done that, you can also assign the decimals here. You can also add a unit of this variable. I don't need it because I'm not showing this value to the users yet. So this is how I've made the formula, and then you just click on apply formula to apply the formula. And so these are the 3 values that I have not shown to the users. I'm just going to use them for calculations later. And the value that I first showed to the user is R4, which is the annual cost of smoking. I've just written it here, I haven't put it here, but you can just add it here just for your own simple explanation. So the annual cost of smoking is basically R1 into 365. And R1, as we knew, was the daily cost of smoking. So I've just added here the result 1 into 365, which is the number of days in a year, would give you the annual cost of smoking. Similarly, R5 is the annual cost of vaping, which is basically R2, which was the daily cost of vaping, multiplied by 365, which would just give you the annual cost of vaping. So finally, R6 is basically the net yearly savings, which is basically R4 minus R5. That is to say, the annual cost of smoking minus the annual cost of vaping minus the cost of buying a vaporizer, which is R3, which we had calculated in R3, as you remember. So that basically gives you the net yearly savings, and it'll be shown here. And in all of these results, R4, R5, and R6 that I've displayed, as you can see, you can edit the result description here, and you can add the variable from here. If you add variable, you can add any kind of result that you want here. So that's that. Okay, so once you've figured out the results, you can finally head to the settings where if you want to make a chart to display to the users pictographically how much they save, because it's much easier to display it pictographically than in numbers. So you just click on Edit Chart here, and then you can go ahead and change anything you want in this. So the x-axis is in dollars, and the y-axis, I want to put it in dollars as well. And you can just name the chart whatever you want. Yearly earnings. It doesn't have to be about yearly savings. It really depends on what you're trying to sell and what you're trying to show your users. So you can actually customize this as much as you want. In my case, I am showing them the yearly cost of smoking, the yearly cost of vaping, and then the yearly savings. And as you can see, this text can be edited from here. So if I just click on this, I'd be able to edit it. So if I just click on it, I'll be able to edit it, and in the similar way here and in here. Okay, so once you've edited all of these sections, so you want to add the values here. So for yearly cost of smoking, as we remember from the formula, the result 4 was calculating the yearly cost of smoking. In the table, the way to write this would be to put equal to R underscore 4. This refers to result 4. As you can see, in the help text here, it provides you can perform mathematical operations inside the cells and also use variables from the calculator like Q underscore 1 and R underscore 1. So try to put it like R underscore 4. That would give us the yearly cost of smoking. And similarly, the yearly cost of vaping was basically R underscore 5, and the yearly savings, this is the result 5 basically, and yearly savings were in R underscore 6. So I put all these three values, and it would quite simply give me a graph. Right now it's just showing some random numbers, but once you're in the calculator, once you test the calculator live, it would show you the exact numbers. So that's that, and once you've done that, just click on Update Chart, and then it would update the chart for you. And that's about it. So if you wanted to, in this, we've used build a similar calculator like I told you earlier, but if you wanted to have some other option here, like, check out our e-store, then you just add a URL here for your e-store and it'll direct the users there. So that's that. Once you've kind of made data, just click on Publish Changes and click on Publish to Selected Domain. And once you've done that, it's going to go live, and you can use the link from here to send it on social media or to give it to your clients or embed it on your website. It's really up to you. And once you've done all of that, you can also head to the configure section, and you can see here the calculator name. You can customize the URL here of the calculator, and in the SEO section, so this is how your calculator would show on a Google preview, and this is how it would show on Facebook, and you can customize all of this. You can add the title here. This is a wrong title added here, so just copy the title, or you can just put your own title, and then you can have a meta description, sub description here. So for my calculator, I wanted to have this description, so I just click on this and I copy this, and then I head to the SEO here and just click here. And allowing search engines to index and allowing them to follow would basically make sure that Google tracks your calculator, and it shows up on Google results. And finally, if you wanted to export your calculator data, all the data that you collect on your calculator, to an external integration, then you can just do it from here by clicking on Configure. Okay, so once you've figured out all of the details about setting up the calculator, you should probably take a look at the analytics section. So I'm just going to explain it to you, even though it would only be beneficial to take a look at it when someone has actually taken the calculator, when a lot of your customers have actually taken the calculator. But for now, I'm going to show you how to figure stuff out in the section anyway. So you just click on Analyze here. And then you just go to Overview, and here you will see the number of visitors who have taken your calculator, the number of people, the number of people who visited the calculator page, and this is the number of people who actually played around with the figure. So they actually took the calculator. And conversions, this one doesn't measure because I'm not actually asking anyone for their name or email, so this is not relevant. But if you want, you can replace this call to action, build a similar calculator. You can, oops. So in the results settings, build a similar calculator. You can replace it with asking them for an email. So you go to the lead generation form, you click on enable lead generation, and you can either have it on the front page where you ask people for their name and email, or you can just have it on the results section here. So once you've done that, you go to the analyze section, and you can see the number of people who actually entered their email, and you can get in touch with them if necessary. And again, what it shows here is the top geographies, the countries from which your calculator was accessed the most, and the devices from which it was accessed. Currently, it's just been accessed from the desktop, so it just shows only desktop. But if it was like accessed from mobile or an iPad, it would show all of that, and then you can go and later optimize it for that particular device. So if you wanted to optimize it for mobile, you just go to Build, and this is a web view, and this is the mobile view, and you can go ahead and optimize it here if necessary. And then back in Analyze, this one shows where exactly people accessed it from. So if you promoted your calculator on a particular website, say on Facebook, then it would show here how much of the traffic came from Facebook, and how much of it came from a direct link, and how much of it came from Instagram if you posted it there. And then you can just head to user details, where you can see the details of each user basically. So the date on which they accessed the calculator, the location from which they accessed it, the number of questions they are asked on the calculator, or the number of questions they answered on the calculator, and you can see exactly every figure for all of the six results that we had tabulated. Remember, there were like six results. You can see what website, what kind of browser they visited from, and whether it was a desktop or a tablet or something. And then you can see whether it came from Facebook, or whether it was a direct link, or whether someone found it on Google. You can find that. And if you click on View Details here, you can see the answer to every single question. What this would allow you to do eventually is that every time you know, how much they pay for a pack of cigarettes, how many cigarettes they smoke in a day, and then you know what the results were, you can then go ahead and modify the price of your vapes to see what kind of customers are more likely to buy your vapes, and what kind of figures lead to a sale, and what kind of figures don't lead to a sale. So that's why it's important to keep track of the analytics section. And another important thing is that you can export all of this data. If you click on this here, this export button, it'll just send you an Excel, a machine readable Excel sheet with all of this data, which you can then go ahead and put into other softwares, or have someone in your company analyze to figure out how you should change the prices of your vapes to suit your customers. And I think that takes care of everything. So if you have any more questions, you can feel free to email us on questions@outgrow.co, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel for any other marketing related updates that we'll be posting here. We are launching a chatbot feature soon, so do subscribe if you want to keep yourself updated about the new features that we're going to launch. Thank you.